I would flip it over and draw you a center line just right in the narrowest part.
Whoa, that's a wide enough center line. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Yeah. And then you see that Alia left the blank long, and so that's a place we can put it in the vise and clamp it. So now he's going to clamp it upside down in the vise, sticking, back that way and at about that angle. And take the draw knife, and the first thing he'll do is take off the sides, the right and the left side, just pulling straight. And for those of you that have made spindles, this is very similar. What you're doing is just defining reference points. And so by knocking off one side and then the other, then you go to the front and then you go to the back, and you've got it. And now you can start blending those two together across the very bottom of the bowl there. Always using your fingers as calipers, because that draw knife, you can take off too much real quick.
So one thing I'm noticing here is that when I'm holding my knife at an angle, it's kind of like the chair seat, where not only is the surface grain here affecting my cut, but also this bandsawn surface here. And so if I started cutting too far back, I would split this whole front of the spoon off. So I really have to find where the grain is. And if I'm tearing, I need to start the cut closer to the end of the spoon, is how you would fix that tear out issue.
Yeah, if it's splitting with you, it's trying to tell you to stop.
So I'm leaving about 1/8 here. Is that what we decided?
That'd probably be fine. Then the spoke shave can refine that.
Okay.
Take it down further. Now I take off the front.
Oh,
so you're gonna have
how
to
do you do that?
Well, you're going to have to do a heavy skew there. That's heavy skew and a slice.
And pulling towards me, I guess.
Yeah, pulling towards you, right.
Okay. Yeah, I tried pulling sideways. I thought I was going to break it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this real logical, bevel, round business. It makes it really easy to figure out where I'm going. I've always just kind of hacked at it till I was happy with it, but are you trying to leave this end any thicker than you were the sides, or about the same?
I don't think you need to right now. That's pretty flat out there. So, I think you're gonna end up closer to a 1/16 of an inch with everything. Let's see. I got some spoons right here. I ought to just fill them. Well, they vary.
So now I'm rounding it. I did the beveling, and now I'm taking off those corners and kind of making it.
Right, connecting the sides with the front.
I didn't quite get down low enough, so I'm going to go back and knock this front corner down. Okay. How am I doing? This is the first one of these I've carved, so it's quite exciting.
You're doing pretty good. So now you want to carve the back of the bowl, but in order for me to get and make the cuts on the back of the bowl that I want, I've got to come in from the handle first with some stop cuts. So you're just going to come in right there, and you're, you don't have to come all the way up there, but just whatever.
And what angle are we at?
Well, you're about right where you are right there. And
so 45 or so.
And then
so I can't draw knife too far forward because I'd run into this end grain.
Right.
So I guess I'm just going to pull these chips and leave them.
Well, most time I'll get them out of my way while I'm carving. I'll just chop them off so I can see what I'm doing. And so you're going to connect now that line that you drew with the top edge of
so I'm going to change my angle down like that.
Right. You have to change your angle there. And now it depends on what you want to do at the top. If you want to round the top a bit, then you would want to be shy of that top.
So if you want to round this,
Right.
with what you're saying,
Yeah.
then this corner would drop down, and so you don't want to draw knife these sides all the way up to that
That's
corner.
right, or you'd make that neck too small.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So then do it to the other side. Just mirror it. And
Boy,
then
you could run way too deep with that stop cut if you weren't careful.
Yeah.
I almost wasn't.
So now you can
Is that
flip.
about what you're talking about?
Yeah, that looks great. Now you're going to flip the spoon around. Now you can get to the back of the bowl.
About like that?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So again, the placement of my knife matters. If I start here, I'm going to be splitting. If I start here, I'm going to be shaving. So somewhere in there is where my clean cut starts, and you just kind of nibble your way towards the danger zone there to find that spot where you can start your cut.
And that radius
This is
going to
good.
get, excuse me, Ailey, were you going to say something?
I can say something anytime, but you keep going.
Okay. That radius is going to get pretty tight in there. And so the length of its bevel on that knife, what's the length of the bevel that you're using there? It's about 1/4 inch.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Something like
so
that.
The length of that bevel is a combination of the thickness of the knife, and show them where the thickness we're talking about. Yeah, that thickness right there coupled with the angle that you grind it. Well, the angle that you grind it is limited. You can't really go, I mean, 28's what I usually shoot for a draw knife. So you could go up to 30, 31, maybe 32, but you start getting above 32 and it gets really difficult to pull through the wood. But it keeps getting the bevel shorter, which enables you to make a tighter turn. So what you need to do is, if you don't have one with a short bevel on it, or with a thin enough, then it's good to find one. They're out there. An 1/8 inch or less is what I look for. So about, I mean, if you were measuring with a dial caliper, it's 100 thousandths is the thinnest one I've ever found.
In this plane here.
Right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I look for these knives that have this, I think it's called a fuller across there, where it's been thinned out.
Right.
And those tend to be thinner, but they will range in thickness depending on who made them when and what they were smoking. So I'm really scooping a lot so that I get down onto the heel of that bevel, and I'm not worried about, and I'm not cutting anymore, so I won't go flying into this danger zone up this way. So really scooping a lot, and then also slicing so that momentum is going left to right and not forward. I want to be able to stop going forward. I've also got my arm braced against the vise to act as a stop. And having said all that, I just went flying into what I wanted to keep. So be careful.
So you can see that radius is not too tight for that draw knife. If it was, then whenever he was riding on that bevel, the back of the bevel, the heel of that bevel would kick him off of the cut. And that's when you come up with those marks and lines in your cut, when the radius is too tight for the draw knife that you're using.
Yeah,
Yep.
You can get little stair steps there.
Yeah, you get stair steps. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. Okay, so I still got a flat up here. Should I be worried about that?
No, I usually fix that with the spoke shave. I mean, you could do draw knife work on that. You start hitting diminishing returns somewhere. So yeah, so right now I'd switch to spoke shave.